Hello!
At the beginning of the story, we see a small child walking alone in a desolate and scorching area. The strangest thing is that the child is eating a human finger. Why is he eating it? And why is he walking alone in such a barren place? Then, we are introduced to a hiker named Brandon Hester, who is walking in a deserted area of Arizona. He had initially come there by car, but he stopped because it was no longer possible to drive further. Carrying some food and a camera in his bag, he climbed to a high vantage point. The reason for his visit was that a solar eclipse was expected today, and Brandon wanted to take some pictures. After spending some time at the spot, he began to head back shortly before evening. Upon returning to the road, he noticed a boy sitting alone and crying in the deserted place. Brandon was a little surprised to see the boy and asked him what he was doing there. The boy replied, "I'm lost." Brandon assumed that the boy's family might be nearby, but he couldn't see anyone in the vast, empty surroundings. Concerned about leaving the boy alone in such a place, Brandon decided to take him along. However, the boy refused to go with him and instead walked in the other direction. Before leaving, the boy mentioned that his parents were nearby. Unsure whether he was doing the right thing, Brandon decided to follow the boy. As they walked, the boy moved forward quickly despite Brandon calling for him to stop. Ignoring Brandon's pleas, the boy led him a long way until, at some point, he finally stopped and asked Brandon for water. After drinking the water, the boy smiled and walked away. Brandon realized from the boy's behavior that he had been intentionally brought to this place. He regretted following him because it was getting late and his car was far away. If he started walking back now, it would be dark before he reached the car. Exactly what he feared had happened. The daytime heat in the area was intense, and the nights were freezing. As it grew dark, Brandon felt the biting cold but had no extra clothing. He lay down against a rock, struggling to sleep in the frigid conditions. After a while, he suddenly heard a sound. Following the sound, he discovered a house in a low-lying area. He was surprised to find a house in such a harsh and uninhabitable environment. It seemed strange that someone had built a house there. As Brandon approached, he saw a girl talking to herself nearby. There was a ladder leading down to the house, and he carefully descended. Upon reaching the bottom, he noticed various strange items scattered around. He knocked on the door, but when no one answered, he entered the house himself. Inside, he found the woman who lived there. Her name was Lena. What puzzled Brandon the most was Lena's reaction or lack of it. She neither seemed afraid nor asked him any questions about his sudden appearance in such a remote place. Normally, anyone would be startled to encounter a stranger in such a location. Brandon thought to himself how scared he would have been in her situation. He said aloud, "I'm lost here." Lena listened but didn't respond. After a while, Lena simply said, "Sit down and eat." However, Brandon didn't eat the food. Because it was so cold outside, he decided to stay in the room. Lena didn't say anything else and continued eating by herself. Brandon then said, "I wanted to help a boy, but he brought me here on purpose. I'm lost because I came so far." Lena didn't ask any questions about what he said and instead told him, "You should sleep now." Following her suggestion, Brandon decided to spend the night there. In the morning, Brandon packed his things and prepared to leave. Before leaving, he left some money for Lena as a gesture of gratitude. But when he stepped outside, he was stunned there were no stairs where he had descended last night. The place was a steep drop surrounded by towering mountains, and there seemed to be no way out. When Lena woke up, Brandon asked her, "Where did the stairs go?" "They were here last night." At first, Lena didn't respond. When Brandon repeated the question, she finally said, "I don't know anything about when they put the ladder there, or when they take it away." Brandon asked her if there were other people in the area, but Lena didn't answer. Brandon started taking pictures of his surroundings. Around noon, he attempted to climb the mountainside where he noticed several paintings etched into the rock. However, he couldn't make it to the top and was forced to stay another day. The next day, he wrapped a cloth around his hands to protect them from the scorching heat of the rocks, and attempted to climb again, using a hammer. Despite his effort, it was nearly impossible to climb without a rope. Still, Brandon managed to climb a considerable distance. Suddenly, he heard children's voices from above. While looking upward, he saw someone throw down the severed head of an animal. Startled, Brandon lost his grip and fell from the height. He fell so hard that he became unconscious. Brandom lay there the entire day, regaining consciousness only in the evening. When he woke up, he screamed in pain. The hammer he had been using was embedded in his foot. Strangely, Lena hadn't come to help him all day. But as he cried out in agony, Lena finally arrived and removed the hammer from his foot. He stayed in bed for 2 days recovering. When he felt slightly better, he tried to escape again. He shouted loudly, "If anyone is up there, please help me." But no one responded. Frustrated and angry, Brandom confronted Lena, demanding to know what's going on here. "Who are you?" Lena appeared frightened and replied, "I can take care of you and provide you with food." Her words only angered Brandom further. "I don't need your care or food. I just want to go back home," he yelled. As Lena tried to calm him, Brandom pushed her away and sat down in frustration. After a while, he noticed a boy above, the same boy who had led him there. The boy called out, "What do you need, friend? Why were you calling for help?" Overjoyed, Brandom shouted back, "I'm stuck here. Can you help me?" The boy replied, "Of course I can. Tell me what you need." Brandom requested a rope. The boy then said, "My sister wants to know what your favorite color is." Surprised by the strange question, Brandom hesitated but eventually said red. "My favorite color is red. Now, can you bring me a rope, please?" The boy left and returned after some time with a rope. He threw it down and told Brandom to tie himself tightly to it. Relieved, Brandom secured himself to the rope, thinking he would finally escape. However, as the people above began pulling him up, they stopped midway, leaving him dangling high above the ground. It was then that Brandom realized he had been trapped. Looking up, he saw 5 boys and a little girl, including the boy he had met earlier. The boys started laughing and taunting him. They began swinging the rope back and forth, ignoring Brandom's desperate pleas to stop. Panicked, Brandom shouted for Lena. She appeared and yelled at the boys in her own language to stop, but it was too late. Brandom lost consciousness when his head hit a rock during the commotion. Lena brought him back into the house. When Brandom regained consciousness at night, he got out of bed and went outside. Still determined to escape, he searched for a way out. Lena tried to calm him and said, "This is your destiny. You can't change it." Her words made it clear that Lena had also been brought here under similar circumstances. Perhaps, like Brandom, Lena had once tried to escape but eventually gave up. She had learned to accept her situation and live there. Brandom, however, refused to give in, determined to find a way out of the nightmare. Then the boys came to give Brandom food. We would soon learn what their true intentions were. Meanwhile, Brandom realized that escaping from this place wouldn't be easy. He decided to wait and bide his time. To keep himself occupied, Brandom started cultivating vegetables. Lena, too, began taking care of him, washing his clothes and preparing meals for him. Gradually, Brandom adapted to life there. The boys not only sent essential supplies and food on time, but also left a lingering question in Brandom's mind. Why were they helping him? Curious, Brandom asked Lena where the food and supplies came from and who the boys were. Lena replied, "I don't know much. I only know I need food to survive." One night, Brandom drank wine to cope with his sadness. Lena tried to stop him, warning, "Don't drink too much. I'm not a child who will blindly follow what you say." While Lena was changing clothes, Brandom, under the influence of alcohol, became intimate with her. The next morning, he resumed searching for a way out, but no escape route was found. As days turned into weeks, his despair grew. He wondered if he would be trapped there forever. One afternoon, while working, a boy appeared above and called out to him. This boy seemed different from the others. He asked Brandom what he was doing. Hoping for an ally, Brandom struck up a conversation with him. The boy introduced himself as Nikasu and expressed a desire to learn to read. Brandom promised to teach him. In return, Nikasu handed Brandom some food before leaving. While working the land, Brandom discovered a ring and a set of car keys buried in the ground. He couldn't shake the chilling realization that others, like him, had been trapped there and likely perished. That evening, Brandom found a photograph of a girl in the room. When he asked Lena about it, she revealed, "This isn't my mother. It's my first mother." She offered no further explanation, leaving an air of mystery. The next day, animals destroyed the crops Brandom had planted. He and Lena worked together to repair the damage. While they were working, Nikasu appeared again and asked Brandom to teach him something. Brandom explained, "It's impossible to teach you from this distance. You need to help me escape first. Then we can both leave this place." Nikasu replied, I can only help when the other boys are asleep or away. Be ready when the time comes. Brandam agreed. Just then, another boy arrived, hugged Nikasu, and took him away. One night over dinner, Brandam told Lena stories about the outside world. Lena's responses revealed that she had never been outside and had no idea what life beyond their confines was like. The next morning, Lena's cries shattered the silence. She had found Nikasu's lifeless body tied up, a victim of the other boys. Lena screamed hysterically, "Nikasu was my son." Overcome with rage, she blamed Brandam, beating him with a wooden stick until he lost consciousness. 9 months passed. During this time, Lena kept Brandam locked in a cage like an animal, feeding him just enough to survive. One day, a girl passing by noticed Brandam in his pitiful condition. Shocked, she tried to help, but the boys caught her and killed her in front of Brandam's eyes, driving him further into madness. One night, Brandam noticed many children in the area but couldn't understand who they were. Then he realized Lena was pregnant with his child. Brandam pleaded with Lena, saying, "You can't do this alone. You need my help." But Lena refused, asserting her independence. Brandam begged, "Why are you keeping me alive? Either free me or end my suffering." Finally, the day came for Lena to give birth. She freed Brandam from the cage and asked for his help. Though reluctant, Brandam assisted her. Once out of the cage, Brandam struggled to walk but noticed an escape route. However, he chose to stay and help Lena. After some time, Lena gave birth, and both were momentarily happy. But their joy was short-lived. The boys appeared, and one of them slit Brandam's throat, declaring, "We did this for you, mother." Lena didn't react. Months later, Lena was seen lovingly raising her child while Brandam's lifeless body lay outside. The movie ends here, but it leaves many lingering questions. Who were the boys? They were all Lena's illegitimate children, mentally disturbed and complicit in her twisted plans. Lena wasn't a captive, she orchestrated everything. The boys would trap strangers under her guidance. Lena's behavior toward Brandam was part of a calculated strategy to have a child. Once she achieved her goal, Brandam was no longer useful. Nikasu, being different, tried to help Brandam, but Lena ordered her sons to kill him. Her grief was nothing more than an act. The photograph in the room depicted the woman who started it all, Lena's first mother. The boys spoke in a secret language and carried out these horrifying acts for their twisted pleasure. The gruesome cycle was all part of their grotesque ritual. This ends the story. Thanks for watching this recap. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to comment below and tell me what movie or series you want me to recap next.